She trades all her favorite jewelry for a couple of fresh plantains. She'd rather not look that pretty so her children could eat today. He works on the fields and factories for about 10 cents a day, and he barely sees his family, but he does it all for them. And they wanna scream their frustration, but if the men with rifles hear, they'll take the last bit of air that they have left to breathe. They cry, God give me liberty, 'cause they're so hard to breathe. The homes don't feel that much like home no more. Lloran, Dios dame libertad. Ellos no pueden respirar, por Dios, sus pueblos lo tienen que dejar. Todo por libertad, todo por libertad, todo por libertad. Lloran, Dios dame libertad. Ellos no pueden respirar, por Dios, sus pueblos lo tienen que dejar. Todo por libertad, todo por libertad, todo por libertad. She considers herself American, not Cuban. Why? Well, she says that America has granted her all the opportunities for her and her family. I did not come here in search for a plate of food, she says, but so that I can breathe the fresh air of liberty. My Abuela, my grandmother Ruth, has told me many stories about her struggle to bring my generation to America. She was around my age, just a young college student in Santiago de Cuba. When she joined the revolution, she left her family, her studies, and she ultimately risked her life, all for democracy. She fought alongside Fidel Castro, thinking that he would bring back democracy. And of course, she met the love of her life along the way, Enrique, my abuelo, my grandfather. They were both filled with the hunger of young lovers, and so they began their family. They had 2 beautiful children, one my father, Joaquin, and the other my aunt, Enid. But it was until after they had their children, they realized who Fidel Castro really was. They knew what he was capable of, and so they knew they had to escape this new oppression. Fidel began to wipe out all the businesses throughout Cuba, many businesses that Cubans owned and relied on to survive. And if they would try to speak out against him or escape the country in desperate thirst for liberty, they would throw them in jail, or he would even murder the innocent lives of Cuban men, women, and even children. My grandparents' fears were only confirmed of Fidel when they applied for their permits to leave the country. Any Cuban that was known to be leaving the country were looked down upon by the government, by their neighbors, and by their families. Both of them were fired from their jobs with 2 kids to support. My grandfather was forced to work on the fields for $2 a week, and the way my grandmother would contribute was by selling all of her jewelry for food. 1 steak a week for a family of 4 was not enough, she said. Especially not for your father. Your father would go hungry many times, you know. I remember there was a bakery in front of our home, and sometimes he would go and he would beg the owner for bread, and sometimes they would give him all the stale bread left over from the day. And at 8 years old, he would come home and he would pick the ants out one by one from the bread. And he would dip it in sugared water because there was no milk. Seeing her children suffer frustrated her, and it broke her heart into pieces. Broke her heart into pieces. But after 4 long years, the permits had finally arrived to leave Cuba. But unfortunately, my grandmother had just finished having kidney surgery. And instead of obeying doctor's orders of bed rest, she was forced to leave the country immediately. She told me, "Your abuelo begged them to at least give me more time to recover. But they said now or never. They made our lives a living hell." I left the country weighing only 90 pounds. And I remember I developed an infection because the wound from my surgery had opened. And I remember I was bleeding so much and the pain was excruciating. And I thought I wouldn't make it. Your abuelo thought I wouldn't make it. But I think what kept me alive was just thinking about the innocent faces of my children in my mind, and just thinking about how close I was to libertad. I could say that my family story is a story of love, of war, of betrayal, of sacrifice, but ultimately, the desperate thirst for liberty. A story I would have never had known had it not been for my curiosity about my home and my heritage. My abuela says it would be a disgrace if you go to Cuba. You shall not go until the day that I die. Not after what they did to your abuelo and I, as I held your aunt and your father in my arms. But I was going towards libertad, and so it didn't matter. I would go through any drastic measure for my kids, even if it meant never seeing my mother or my brothers or sisters again, or just being so close to death, I would do it for libertad. And Rosita, she told me, I did this for you, so that you have a voice for what you believe in, so that you have a decent plate of food in front of you for you and your family every day. And so one day, you don't have to see your children suffer the way that I did. Here I am, 2 generations later, and I want to see Cuba. I want to see the home and my family I only know through old photographs. But my abuela says, wait. And so I wait. Abuela, I'd love to see my home, a home I've never known, that I have only heard of. Abuela, Cuba I've never seen, all my roots and family that I have only dreamed of. But she says, I know you'd love to go, but there are some things you should know. This pain from where you came from, there was barely air to breathe. Fidel had promised he'd bring democracy. Instead, he took all of our voices and shattered all our dreams. Oh God, when will this horror cease? I pray that one day we'll be free from all this pain and suffering. Mi nieta, I ask that you don't go till the day God takes my soul. Just promise me, Rosita. I promise, Abuela. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say thank you all so much for being here and letting me share this beautiful story with you. And I just want to point out my grandmother right here in the audience. I'm so lucky to have her still with us. And Abuela, you are living proof of what immigrants go through every single day. And you're just evidence of what they go through. And you're living proof of that. And I admire you, and you really do inspire me. And she's 82 years old, and she still owns her own business in West New York, and she's still working, and she's so inspirational. Te amo muchísimo. Muchas gracias. Thank you all so much. My name is Rosa Martinez, and you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.